This is the Phillies Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Philadelphia Phillies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Just what makes that silly old ant think he can move a rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant. How about 3 home runs to open up CBP for the 2025 season? How about Edmundo Sosa, Eddie Sosa? How about him starting out that 7th inning magic? Wow, you love to see it from him. He is absolutely raking right now for the Phils, and Kyle Schwarber stays red hot as well as the Phillies now improve to 3-1 to start the young 2025 campaign. Max Kepler, oh my goodness, great. Max, please prove me wrong all season long. Don't just be a hot start. Be hot all year long, baby. That's what I want to see. He hits his first home run as a Philly, and Nick Castellanos goes deep as well, right to the batter's eye in center field. A thing of beauty. It looked like a party from the 7th inning on. You had Cristopher Sanchez go out there and in total gave you 5 1/3 with 1 run. It was a solo home run, 7 strikeouts. A little worried there in the 5th inning whether or not he was hurt. It turned out he was okay, but then he gave up the solo home run. That's fine. But all in all, it's what you wanted. Now, held in suspense, as the Phillies have for this entire season to this point. They have held you in suspense, struggling against starting pitching, and then just tattooing the bullpen. And that's what the Phillies were able to do again today, and you'll love to see that. Phillies get the 6-1 win at home. Welcome into Locked On Sports, Locked On Phillies Postcast. My name is Mark Barzetta. I have you for your postcast throughout the season right here on Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Connor Thomas has you covered when it comes to the Phillies daily podcast, so make sure you guys are liking and subscribing and commenting, because I get your comments in on this show. Make sure you're commenting as well between Connor and I with all the content we'll be providing throughout this Phillies season. It gives me so much joy to state this player's name.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Now, how do you go with anybody other than Edmundo Sosa for the player of the game? Look, hey, I know everybody digs the long ball. I get it. But Edmundo Sosa starting out this season by hitting .545 is absolutely unreal. He comes up there in that 7th inning, and he got that 7th inning magic started. First and foremost, Phillies are down at this point 1-0. You haven't really done much offensively. You are again struggling and again coming up to the plate with a very aggressive mindset. Perfect example of that has to do with the Phillies, and Bryce Harper was one of these guys. I believe it was in the 4th inning, all first pitch swinging pitches. 3 out of the 4 batters that went up there, 3 out of the 4 batters that batted in that inning were swinging at the first pitch. Not exactly the way you want to go about your business, but that's just the way it shook out. So I tell you that to tell you this. In the 7th inning, Phillies get an opportunity here to try to get to the Colorado Rockies bullpen. Scott Alexander comes in, the lefty out of the bullpen for the Rockies. Kepler steps up there. What does he do? He gets a tight strike zone to his benefit. Fortunately, Alexander had some pitches that were on the corner, outside and inside, and not called strikes by Lance Barksdale. So Kepler takes advantage of it, and he puts the ball into center field for a base hit. Then Casty comes up, 5-4-3 double play. It looked like all was going to be lost. And then Bryson Stott steps up there with a little bloop double to right field. He legs it out. And then interesting, Trea Turner dealing with back spasms. You know what he says? You know what Rob Thompson says? He says, heck with that. You grab a bat. And Trea Turner, in typical fashion, hasn't swung a bat in like 3 days. He steps up to the plate, hacks at the first pitch, misses it. But who cares? Because he works a walk in the at-bat. So now he's on base with Stott on second base. They decide to go deeper into the bullpen. Alexander comes out of the game. Vodnik comes in to face Edmundo Sosa, and Edmundo Sosa deposits a pitch from Vodnik into the right center field gap. And on his horse, every ounce of speed from Trea Turner, Bryson Stott scores easy from second to tie the game at 1. And Trea Turner comes around to score to give the Phillies the 2-1 lead. So I tell you this to tell you that Edmundo Sosa is your player of the game. Ends up being the game-winning hit, even though the Phillies tagged on to that after his hit. And the very next batter And you don't even have to ask me who my player of the game is. I'll tell you who Kyle Schwarber's player of the game is, because after the Schwarberian Schwarbomb to center field 434 feet for a 2-run home run and a 4-1 lead. After that went down, Schwarberian crosses home plate, and there's Edmundo Sosa, ready for the high five, ready for the forearm, the Bash Brothers, whatever you want to call it. He's waiting there for it, and instead of going to that first, Kyle Schwarber points right to him. I don't know what he said, but I'm sure it had something to do with because of you. This is all you. Had to do something like that. I don't know. Had to be something like that. I don't know. Either way, great jubilation at home plate, CBP, for the first time this season. Love every second of that. Kyle Schwarber absolutely tattooed that bitch. But it was Eddie Sosa and Edmundo Sosa getting it started for the Phillies in that inning. They did go on to tag on a couple of more. We could also look. That's the player of the game, Edmundo Sosa, and without question, it transfers.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Turning point was that hit. I mean, you could say that it was the bloop by Bryson Stott, but the Phillies had gotten hits earlier in the game. Not a lot of them, but they had gotten hits. They'd gotten a couple of guys in scoring position, but they were not able to capitalize. Finally, the man that made it happen was Edmundo Sosa, the guy that's the bottom of the. What have we been saying? Two things that I have said after 4 games now. Well, I'm about to say it after a 4th game. Here's what I've said all season. The bottom of the order guys have to be the guys that are helping you win ball games. The reason the Phillies, it's going to sound redundant for some, a broken record for a lot, but the Phillies 37 and 14 last year. 37 and 14. That wasn't because Bryce Harper was just going off. It wasn't because Kyle Schwarber was on fire. It was because the guys at the bottom of the order were also hitting and contributing. Without them, you're just, it's a good start to the year. You're playing, closer to 500 ball, a lot closer to 500 ball. No question about that. Well, when the bottom of the order guys are well outperforming their contracts, so to speak, well, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And the Phillies were able to do that today. Bryson Stott, like I said, got it started. And Edmundo Sosa got the game-winning hit. And then some of the bigger name players and really their biggest offseason offensive acquisition in Max Kepler got it going as well. So you love to see all that. So when you talk about a turning point, you could look to Bryson Stott. But all in all, I look at Edmundo Sosa making it happen for the Phillies and getting those bats going to plate some runs. Love every second of that for him. As far as starting pitching today with Cristopher Sanchez, oh my goodness. Nasty. Every bit of nasty. I mentioned his line overall tonight, 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts, only made the 1 mistake as far as the home run went. There was a couple of instances where guys were in the right places. A couple of hard hit balls. Bryce Harper had one of them. Alec Boehm had another. Bryson Stott was there. Nick Castellanos made a nice half sliding grab there in right field to help his pitcher out, which was great. But all in all, everything that you had seen from Cristopher Sanchez in spring training, as far as the high velocity and great control, he carried it right over. And one of the things we looked at when Cristopher Sanchez was just coming up with the Phillies was the fact that he had great power. He was a power pitcher. He was working on the finesse stuff and he was working on the control of those powerful pitches. Well, he has finally harnessed that power. And he's able to dot the corner with a 98-mile-per-hour sinker. He's able to get some great run on that sinker, tailing in on right-handed hitters. On left-handed hitters. Right-handed hitters. I was right the first time. It was a great thing. So used to Aaron Nola having that and reversing it, but whatever. Cristopher Sanchez was able to do that today, and it was a thing of beauty. And there was one pitch in particular that he threw. It was to Chris Bryant in the 2nd inning. Got him looking on a 97-mile-per-hour sinker that started out off the plate, it looked like, away from Chris Bryant, a right-handed hitter, and ended up on the inside corner. And he didn't know what to do with it. So he just sat on down, and that was that. But he had a couple of those pitches today that were working well. The changeup was working well for him. Also, pretty much the change and the sinker were working really well for Cristopher Sanchez. Later in the game, when unfortunately he gave up the home run, that was 6th inning. The 5th inning is when he got hurt. Comes out again for the 6th inning at 85 pitches. Again, I use the term, I wasn't shocked. I might have been a little surprised. yesterday when I talked about Aaron Nola being left out there for one more inning and then being left out there again after a 10-pitch inning, or 10-pitch at bat, and then still being left out there after another hit off of him, and then he gave up the home run. The Sanchez situation, a little surprised only because he might have been dinged up a little bit there in the 5th inning. He comes out, he faces McMahon, he gets McMahon to ground out to second, and then Goodman comes up and hits the 405-foot home run in center field, and that's when they took him out. Look, it was one run, so I'm not going to criticize, I'm not going to rip Rob Thompson for it. Just a little surprised, just all noting. And other than that, Cristopher Sanchez looked like he had some pretty good stuff today. So that was great to see for Cristopher Sanchez. When we come back, we'll talk about what I think you're going to be talking about tomorrow when it comes to this victory for your Phils. And we're also going to kick around some other guys in this lineup that have been just producing since the season started. It's a beginning, but it's a good beginning to the 2025 campaign. And then one thing that just struck me as rather odd, and I'm not here for it. I don't like it one bit. I think it's part of our advantage as the great city of Philadelphia and the phenomenal fan base that we are, and I don't like it one bit. Thank you very much. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On Phillies postcast and the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Let me tell you about FanDuel. Hope you guys are taking advantage of all FanDuel has to offer and having yourself a blast with it, whether it's with the madness, whether it's in baseball, whether it's basketball, whatever it might be. FanDuel's where it's at. The madness, as we know, is here, and FanDuel right now is offering customers $200 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet. When you hit your first $5 bet, you could win. You will win $200 in bonus bets with FanDuel. Everything from buzzer beaters to anything. Cutting down the nets, it's fantastic. Picking up my favorites, one of my favorite things to do throughout the NCAA tournament, be able to hit on a few. Thank you very much, and a good start to the baseball season for me, as a matter of fact. Also, if you're looking at the Sixers, where they could finish, hit up FanDuel. It's all right there for you. FanDuel is the app that is simple to use, and when I win, which does happen from time to time, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. Who wants to wait for the cash? You know what I mean? No, you want it now. And that's what FanDuel has to offer. So visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action as well as so much more with FanDuel. Check out FanDuel.com. Here you go. Let me just say, covering the bullpen for the away team is a travesty. It is a crime against all Philadelphia fans. It is a crime, I tell you. How are we supposed to get in their heads now? You know what I mean? I know today's a horrible argument for it because the Phillies tattooed the bullpen, but whatever. You're supposed to rely on the 26th man, whatever. The home field advantage, it's a travesty, is what it is. Now they got this little, looks like a breezeway out there. I hate it. It looks like a trolley car, whatever you want to call it. It's awful, covering the away bullpen. How are we supposed to get in their heads, intimidate the heck out of them, distract them? How are we supposed to do it now? Don't like it one bit. You know, if you don't know the story, it was Billy Wagner. It was Billy Wagner that said, "Oh, wait a minute. Why are you guys putting our bullpen on the high level there? We should be on the low level so that the fans can rip the opposing bullpen." And everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it's a good idea." And they did it in 20 years. Now all of a sudden there's a problem. Don't like it. I don't like that as much as I love the Nutella quesadilla. I haven't had it yet at Citizens Bank Park, but I will, and I know I'll enjoy it. That is combining two of my favorite things. So there you go. And I know another thing, my kids are going to love it as well. So there you go. As far as what you'll be kicking around tomorrow,
this is what you'll be talking about.
I think for the most part, you're going to be talking about this lineup and how they are mashing, and Max Kepler is mashing 3 hits today for Max Kepler, including his first home run of the season. How about this through 4 games of the Phils to this point? 364, really 3 games. 364 with a 500 on base percentage. Had another walk. Had that home run today, and then had for his RBI, and then also scored a run on that same play. So that's great. Great to see that from him. Love seeing that from Max Kepler. You're also going to be talking about most likely what's going on with this Phillies bullpen, because this was great to see. How about Jordan Romano? It's going to take me a minute to get used to that. Gives up a hit, sure, but also gets 2 strikeouts. Just needs 11 pitches to get through that 9th inning. And before him, Jose Alvarado. Yes, please, and thank you. Will I issue a walk? Sure, but will I strike out the side? You're darn right I will. And Jose Alvarado got that going for himself in his 8th inning of work. You love to see that. All of it is great for your Philadelphia Phillies. It's fantastic. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine Monday. How about this? They got the game in. Huh? They got the game in. Love it. Just Patrick 2. What's going on? Hey, Fars. My player of the game today, Rob Thompson, knows how to use the whole roster to get the job done. Turner hitting for Marsh was brilliant and effective. It was. I give him all the credit in the world for that. Good job, Rob Thompson. Bandman 100. So Max Kepler, Phillies, Becton, or Bond? I will say look, he had Saquon Barkley and Brandon Graham out there, right, for the first bit. That was great. That was all great to open it up. And then you had even more Eagles chants going on at Citizens Bank Park. So, yeah, let's bring on the Eagles comparisons. And hopefully we're comparing them at the end of the year where the Phillies win a championship, just like the Eagles did. But Becton or Bond, don't know yet. Right now, he's definitely trending more towards Bond. You know what I mean? Both dominant for their sides of the football field. You know what I mean? Both dominant. So hopefully they develop into that. But how about the bullpen? Looking good. Absolutely. Elephant in the room. Edmundo. Evelyn. What's up, Evelyn? Great home opener. Sosa just on fire. Love to see it. As do I. Ray Amato, just as talked about yesterday, this team can just great point. Yeah. Just as we talked about yesterday, this team could just flip the switch and put up runs in a flash. Edmundo coming up in the clutch and deep Schwarber bomb. Love this team. Go Phillies. We literally just touched on this yesterday. The great tease with this Phillies team, when you got a bunch of guys that can hit 20, 30 home runs, maybe even 40 again, Kyle Schwarber. The great tease is that you're going to have games like yesterday where you just lay an egg, you can't do anything right, and the only run you can score is a snore is actually a better way to put it. But the only run you can score is on a little ground ball to second base with the bases loaded. And you eke that out in the 9th inning. There's going to be games like that. But what's going to keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the rest of this season is the fact that this Phillies lineup could all of a sudden you blink and 6 runs on the board. How'd that happen? The long ball and hustling. That's how you could get those runs up on the board. By the way, speaking of hustling, Bryce Harper in the 8th inning. I know he's going to have 5 of those this year where he catches the outfielders napping and he stretches it into a double, and I love it. But he's also going to have at least 3 or 4 of them where he gets thrown out, and I guess today was the first one. That's just Bryce trying to make something happen. And then they're also going to have other times where he's just lollygagging down the first baseline and driving you crazy. But, not the day for that. Not the day for that. But, yeah, loved what I saw from the Phillies today, especially putting up runs as quick as they did. Trey had a great at-bat, figured out they wouldn't give him anything to hit, and he took the walk. Absolutely. Absolutely. After he hacked at the first pitch. No, I'm fine with it. I'm not mad. Johnson Wall, hello. We're having some great at-bats later in the inning, in later innings, long ball at-bats, or long at-bats. Lots of takes and jumping on hittable pitches. Fair. Crazy. What a win. Kepler is the real deal. I'm in. Like I said, prove me wrong. I was trashing it throughout the offseason. This is all they got. This is all they got for the lineup. I mean, I was more excited about Jesus Luzardo, for instance. I was more excited about Jesus Luzardo in the rotation than I was Max Kepler in the lineup there. But hey, could be excited about both of them. Could be pretty excited about both. Lego Eagle, what's happening? Go Sixers! Bats finally woke up. They scored. Now this is what go Sixers. This is the criticism I get. They have one game where they don't score. They have another 2 games where they score 18 runs, and then I get, you're so negative. You're so negative. I'm excited. I'm excited that the Phillies actually put up runs again today. Now it's 3 out of 4 games. They put up runs. They put up runs. They win games. They don't put up runs. They don't win games. That's a funny formula, ain't it? Craig wrong button. Craig Thompson, what's going on? This is what I want to see from this team. Last year is over. Spring training is over. Let's get it. There you go. Harper needs a base running class. Pat Ryan, what's going on? Harper is just aggressive on the bases. What he needs to do is stop ranging too far left on defense. Okay, I'll try to pay attention to that. Sanchez was on point till that cramp. And again, even with that little cramp, whatever, he was still 5 1/3 with 1 run, 7 Ks. I'm in. Evelyn, I believe fans were throwing stuff at opposing bullpens. What? Not us. What? That's preposterous. What did I just miss? Kepler, here we go. Go say Kepler's a good signing. I know we're lefty heavy, but I think Max will have a good year. Let's hope he keeps it going, right? Keep the party going, pal. You know what I mean? Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. I will be back with you guys off day tomorrow, so don't miss me too much. I know we'll just miss each other. Off day tomorrow, but then the Phillies are right back at it on Wednesday. Wednesday is our first 6:45 start of the year. It's also my mom's birthday, so that'll be fun. But yeah, that goes on 6:45 on Wednesday. You're going to have Zach Wheeler back on the hill against Kyle Freeland, a lefty-righty matchup for your fighting Phils. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, hit like and subscribe. Hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. That's Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. You got me with your postcasts all throughout the season, and you got Connor Thomas with your Locked On Phillies daily podcast. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing right here to Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back with you guys Wednesday. Try not to miss me too much. I know I'll miss you. And until then, go Phils.